Hello and welcome back to the Lego Millennium Falcon mega build. I'm on page 1000, no, not page 1000, that'd be insane. I'm on step 1033. I've left myself this thing, so I'll leave that aside, and I'm building something fresh and new, as though it was spring and, you know, new life was upon us. Things were happening in the world that were good and honest. And I'm still building Lego. And the moment I did that, my throat decided, yeah, fuck you. We're going to give you a load of cough now. Enjoy. Just running ahead at this, full steam, like a runaway freight train. Feels like forever since I've done one of these. I think it's because I recorded the last one sort of ahead of time on what I normally would. And it's, right, hang on, and it's sort of left me with a lot of space, so it feels like I've done a lot since then. In reality, I probably haven't. Okay, so I've just done that, and now I have to... Oh, I see. So I need to build another one of these, but just going in this slot instead. So it's somewhat mirrored. Right, where have I been since last time? What have I done? Who have I met? What caricatures have I envisioned? That last bit, I don't even know why I said that. It's odd. There's a fair shortage of these little black pegs. They're normally incredibly common. I mean, I've got loads of spare ones, but it's just odd to actually need one for a change. Because they normally give you so many spare ones. Main thing I think I've been doing, I've been playing Spider-Man, PS4 Spider-Man. After a rocky start, you know, it came out and was good, and I was accepting the fact that I didn't have a PS4, so I wasn't going to play it. And then my friend calls me up out of the blue and goes, "Hey, do you want my PS4? I'm not going to need it for a while. Do you want it?" As though he were running from the country and just had to get rid of all his stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. And then he goes, "Oh yeah, I got Spider-Man as well, you can play that." I was like, oh, great. So suddenly, after deciding that I could live without playing it, I've been playing it a lot recently. I've not finished it. I keep getting in two minds about it, where like, do you want to beeline, finish the main story, then do everything else? Because it's like, well, if you do that, you get loads of experience for doing that. And then when you come to do everything else, it's all unlocked and there for you to do at once. But at the same time, it's like, then you're doing the main story and the bulk of the game without having unlocked a lot of like the higher end abilities, say. So I keep flip-flopping between the two to create a good sort of median ground where you want to complete the main story and still have, like, I don't know, maybe a third left of the non-story activities to do, maybe about half, something around that ballpark seems fitting. So I'm massively enjoying that. It's good fun. It is very much undeserving of... What in the hell happened here? It looks like a moth has just disintegrated underneath this pile of Lego, which is disturbing because it's been undisturbed for quite some time. Let's see, grey on one side, light grey on the other. Yeah, it's a great game, Spider-Man, but I would honestly say it's nothing special. It's very much like a fairly standard open world game. And you play as Spider-Man. Like, playing it, there are times when it's like, this could be Assassin's Creed, this could be like Far Cry, this could be any number of those sort of open world games. Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, it felt similar to that. Like, just like the basic stuff. Like, you unlock towers to unlock bits of the map, it shows you where the collectibles are. The collectibles aren't hidden, they're all just there for you to find. And then it's got a nice system where you get tokens for doing the various activities. You use those to upgrade your stuff. It's nice. It's good fun to play. It's not a bad game by any means, but it's very much a standard game. It's I'd like to say it's derivative, but that's such a douchey thing to say. It's not a criticism, by the way. It shouldn't. I don't think a Spider-Man game should be trying to break tremendous new ground in what it does. Infamous, the game Infamous, is sort of it's like a newer version of that based on a property you give a shit about. It's kind of questionable why it's taken so long to make a Spider-Man game like that. Well, no, it's not, is it? Because arguably Spider-Man 2 did that. In fact, I'll go on record as saying this. All the Spider-Man games based on the films have essentially been like this game. Open world, do the missions in between. It's fine. It's good laugh. It's good fun. It's a good game. It feels like I'm down on it now, and that's not what I'm trying to be. Is this going on here right? I need these corner pieces to really sell the effect, don't I? I particularly like the setting actually for the game as well. The fact that you're grown-up Spider-Man, you're not kid Spider-Man, so you ain't got that to worry about. It's sort of a lot of Spider-Man's stuff is set like when he becomes Spider-Man, so you'll get like him starting out, him not being very good as Spider-Man, all that sort of build up. Every relationship in the game would be one you would build, whereas in this one a lot of it's like predetermined. You've already dated MJ and split up with her. That's happened. You don't work at the Bugle anymore. You're working for... Well, you seem to be working for Dr. Octavius, who, like, you're playing it, it's like, you know he's going to be Doc Ock. It's like, it's merely a matter of time. It's a surprise to no one other than Peter Parker when he eventually, like, he puts the arms on. It's like, now I'm insane. Boom. It's just there. And yeah, fair enough. It's quite nice to have a backstory to a character like that, make him sympathetic in a game. But they only did it for him. Pretty much all the other villains, it's like, yep, he's a villain. Spider-Man's already beaten him. He's been put away. It's been done. Alright, now what? I keep forgetting that I'm supposed to get all the pieces I need and then put them on. This method of one and done is just, it's asking for trouble. The little black bit is kind of a step shape. There's one. I think I need two of them. I do. Let's see. There we go. That's good. I like all the costumes as well. Costumes are very good. And the fact that you unlock a costume, you get an ability. The ability's not locked onto the costume though, so you can mix and match however you want. Which means if you want to be the Scarlet Spider the whole game, you can. Unfortunately, it's one of the first costumes they give you, and it's one of the best. So, and there is a period of where they give you really dopey ones that look kind of shitty and funny in the cutscenes when it's a real serious moment and you're dressed as like Spider-Punk. Alright, set that to the side. It's one of those games. There's not a lot to talk about really, because it's a fun game. It's really fun to play. I don't think anyone's going to have too much of a different time playing it because there's no choices to make. There's some abilities to unlock and gadgets and stuff, but it doesn't make a huge difference. Stealth in the game is pretty fun, but it's literally a case of sometimes on a mission they'll say, okay, be stealthy. If you get caught, you fail. Sometimes it'll be like, okay, you're here, they don't know you're here. Be as much stealthy as you want. You know, you can take them all out with stealth, or you can not. It's up to you, it doesn't really matter. And then there's a few where it's like, okay, you can use stealth on the first wave, but after that, every other wave will just know you're there for 6 waves. Which is fine. It's fine. I Like they don't really force you into it, and the stealth is pretty easy as well. There's very little debate about what you should and shouldn't be doing. Inexplicably though, I'd say probably the weakest part of the game, and I'm not really sure why they've done it, is they decided, okay, fair enough, in a Spider-Man game, have us play as Peter Parker for a few moments here and there. That's fine. I can deal with that. The questionable decision to have us playing as Mary Jane in sections and other similarly depowered or unpowered at all individuals. It's debatable. I can't see as anyone's playing those and thinking, yes, this is my favourite bit of the game. I love the bits where you play as Detective Mary Jane, photojournalist Mary Jane. Okay, I need to read the instructions because I'm not. That's the end of that sentence. So I've been playing a lot of that. It's good. I'm trying my hardest to play it and finish it because I don't want to get stuck in that mechanism of like starting 100 games and finishing none of them. I like to finish games. The trouble is, I was playing Monster Hunter before that, and that's a game that doesn't really have a clear finish. It's sort of up to you to decide when you're done. I'm in a state because I've got this Spider-Man. I got the PS4. I got to burn through a lot of the PS4 exclusives that I decided I just wasn't going to play, and now suddenly I can. God of War, which in my head is called God of War 4, even though it is just called God of War. I've got to play that because I like mythology. I like Norse mythology. I like God of War. It all adds up. I should like it. I don't know why I have to justify it. It's a highly critically acclaimed game. Okay, now I take this and I put it somewhere on this bit here, I think. Does this fit in like that? Well, that was a satisfying fit. That was just nicely in there. That's on my current to play list. Another big development. I went to Alton Towers for a couple of days, which, if you're not familiar, is one of, if not the largest theme parks in England. Or at least it's got all the big rides, let's put it that way, big roller coasters and shit. Went there for a couple of days. Happened to be the first day I was there, it was like the wettest day probably of the year. Certainly the wettest in recent memory. It was raining a lot. I wouldn't say I was super prepared for it dress code wise. The trick is, knew it was going to be wet, but we also knew it wasn't going to be overly cold. So you can't like double down on winter clothes that are waterproof, because then you'll be way too hot. And there's a lot of running around or light jogging around. That's the ideal way to get around theme parks, isn't it? You lightly jog. It's how you beat the crowds. All right. A few smaller flat bits. I picked one up immediately, but I don't know where I picked it up from, and it's making it difficult to find more. And there's also very little sizing on there to sort of tell if it is indeed the smaller bits I need. Well, there's enough. That's the right size. There we go, got them all. Okay. There was method to the madness of we thought we're gonna go to a theme park, but we've got to go during school time. That eliminates a lot of potential crowds, doesn't it? Because the key is you don't want to queue. That's it, isn't it? You don't want to queue. So we've got to go during school time. We missed all of summer because we were too lazy to go in like June or July before school breaks up. So skip all of August. Got to September. It's like, okay, now is the time. We've got to figure out when it's open for a start. They're on limited hours. Have I got everything yet? I need one more of these little grey things. And I think that's it. Okay. And start from the correct end, that helps as well, doesn't it? So yeah, and the plan worked. Like, there was very little queuing involved. I think the longest queue we had was like for 30 minutes, and that was like, yeah, that was our choice at that point. It was, whereas normally you're looking at like more like 1 to 2 hour sort of queues in the height of the season. But you know, if you're there, you do it. It's not that bad queuing. You're with your friends. You're all in the same boat, and hopefully there won't be anyone in your group who complains about it, because you're there. There's nothing you can do. Your two options are to queue for rides, or to not queue for rides and not go on anything. So it's, you know, you might as well. And I'll be honest, a little bit of queuing does make the ride a bit better. It allows you to build up a bit of anticipation, a bit of want, you know. And also, you know, I genuinely, I don't like people who complain about things, particularly things that, like, you know, that's it, you can't really change it. The weather would be one. You know, you're there, you're in the rain. Obviously, it would be better if it wasn't raining, but you can't change it at that point. You've got no options. Just enjoy it. Everyone's getting wet. You might be wet. Everyone else is wet. Don't complain about you being wet. Everyone else is in the same boat. You're just dragging everyone down. Now, I'm not saying it's given me a cold. It may have given me a cold. The real issue I had, I was there for 2 days. I was staying overnight in a hotel there. And I packed light. I packed very light, in fact. I brought... My greatest error, I only brought one coat with me. And it wasn't really a coat, it was more like a waterproof hoodie. Which was fine until there was an incident that caused it to become completely waterlogged. So I was like, suddenly I've got no coat for going out at night, and I've got to get it dry the next day. And I thought that'll be easy. I can just stick it on a radiator overnight or a heated towel rail. Hotel room had none of these. Like, it barely even had anywhere to hang clothing. There was like very little furniture aside from a bed and a chair. And even the chair didn't have a lot of space. And so I ended up, I had to dry it out using a hairdryer and an iron. And that was it. So just cut to me for like an hour, just ironing, blowing, hoping it all dry for the next day. That wasn't the biggest issue. The biggest issue was that I only had one pair of trousers. I had a pair of shorts with me, I had a pair of pajama bottoms, and I had one pair of trousers that I could wear, you know, outside. Jeans as well. So when they were sodden, which they were, that was going to take some time to dry out. So that was the bulk of my effort, was drying them in time for dinner that evening. Because obviously I could have just gone and brought more. But, you know, you can go and buy a jacket, not wearing a jacket, that's fine. Going to buy trousers when you don't have trousers, that's an issue. There's not many ways around that. Okay, that's good. I just need 2 more of these. Yeah. There's a lot of decoration going on in this phase of the build, clearly. Shit. What? I put these on the wrong side. That's why nothing adds up. Okay, yeah, we're back on form with that. Alright, there we go. Commentary has ceased entirely for some reason. I seem to have lost the ability to ramble. Oh Christ, this is hard to look at. Apparently I heard the news today, Telltale Games is closed, or they've massively downscaled with the intent to close in the near future. My assumption being that means they've gotten rid of nearly all of their staff, closed any new projects, and are just finishing up the remains of the day. Which is weird. It shouldn't have come as any surprise, because arguably the way that company's been run in the past, 5 years? How long is that? Basically, after they had, their breakthrough hit of The Walking Dead, and people suddenly started saying, "Oh yeah, their games are worth playing." Because before that, there was I think there was Back to the Future, Jurassic Park. Did they do Sam and Max? And they were like, these are okay, they're not great. And then suddenly they realised, hang on, if we have good writing in our story-focused games, maybe people will want to play them. And it seemed to work for them. And then they started getting, bigger licenses and stuff that people kind of cared about. So they got The Walking Dead, and suddenly their episodic storytelling format was like, yeah, this is it. This is the bee's knees. And then they went way too far with it, and just suddenly like you get Wolf Among Us Series 1, they say, yeah, Series 2's coming. In the meantime, here's 3 new stories we're going to start. And it was never ever a complete story as far as I could tell. I played the Game of Thrones one. I really liked it, and it ended on a massive cliffhanger, or a series of cliffhangers. And I was like, all right, well, hopefully they'll make another one of them, or, you assume they will. Nope, never happens. And now it's never going to happen. And apparently they, again, because I haven't played that many, so I'm only going on what I hear from people who do play, and it's like, yeah, a lot of their games are kind of the same. It's implied your decisions have impact, but they don't really. But I think most people are fine with that. It's just, it's not the destination, it's the journey. It doesn't matter if everyone gets to the same place. It's fun having a bit of difference and making it feel like, what you worry about does actually matter. Let's see, I need to combine these. But they kind of, I'm coining this, they Guitar Hero'd themselves in the same way that Guitar Hero and Rock Band got into an unhealthy relationship where they keep bringing out new editions and like adding more instruments and stuff, and it was like, okay guys, you've got to stop doing this. Just update your songs once in a while. No one wants new mechanics in these games. No one really cares. Most people just like hitting the plastic and hearing songs. That's enough. Don't make anyone sing either. Only a very small subset of people are willing to do that. And they killed themselves out of the market. Which, is this right? Have I done this right? This doesn't fit. This doesn't seem right. No, it was right. Undo the undoing. And then my little theory is that a higher up at Telltale was like, I own a lot of stock in the company. I'm gonna do like a flash and burn situation. We're gonna get all these titles. We're gonna get it as big as possible. We're gonna inflate this balloon. I'm gonna sell up. Then everyone's gonna lose their job. I'll be fine. No one else will. Again, this is total conjecture. I'm making this all up off my arse. None of it's real, but I can see a situation in that turns out to be like in a few years when NDAs are over, people have moved on to different industries. It'll be like, yeah, we knew it was going badly when they, we would be working on a project, and then the next day they'd announce a new project no one knew about. They'd split our team, and suddenly we were working on 2 projects. You'll find that's like, yeah, the guys on the Minecraft story mode, they didn't even have a writer for 6 months. They were just playing Minecraft. Again, people have lost their jobs. This is no joking matter. Although I don't know. It's kind of funny, isn't it? In a horrible, bleak sort of a way. I'm allowed. I've got a job that no one would want. So that, it's acceptable. I feel like it got to the point with them where they would like announce a game and it would come out and people would be surprised it had even come out. A big one for that was the Guardians of the Galaxy one. I remember hearing about that thinking, that's weird, how are they going to do that? And then it's like, it had been and gone. It's like, has no one ever mentioned that? Did that game come out? I'm pretty sure it did, but I'm trying to think. I can vaguely in my head see a Telltale version of Star-Lord. But apparently that game must have had little cultural impact, because I've never even seen a meme about it. That's how little effect that must have had. Right, this is becoming... Where does this go? This bit I'm putting on, does it go here maybe? I should know, because it tells you at the start. But that was basically years ago in my time. I don't recall any of that. So close. I nearly picked up all of them straight away. The bits I needed. No. Here you are. Okay. Right, so I need these four, which I've just put together for no good reason. That little square. And... yeah. Saw a great film recently, Crazy Rich Asians. Which, I know it's called that, but for some reason, in my head, I keep thinking there's another word in the title, and it's young. It's like Crazy Young Asians, which doesn't make sense, because the Crazy Rich Asians, they're not insane, they're crazy rich, I believe. I believe that's how it's supposed to be. That's how I interpreted it. Oh, it's a great film. The decadence of some rich Asians. They even get to do a bit at the start where someone in I think 1980s London assumes because they're Chinese they have no money and won't let them in their fine establishment, so they buy it, and it's like, big mistake. Where the fuck is the bit I need? I need a flat grey. The world's most boring coffee, the flat grey. And I can't see it. It should be immediately noticeable. It terrifies me that I can't, because it should, well, I don't know. I'll see if I can find the other bits. It might turn up. Or it might turn out I'm actually missing a lot of pieces. I'd sooner be missing a lot than only one piece, because... there it was. Found it. Oh, thank Christ for that. Yeah, it's weird. It's if you were going to title it as a film, it's a rom-com, is what it is. But like that genre of film, it's had a terribly bad rap recently. There was a time when the rom-com was like the height of cinema. Gone with the Wind. I don't know if there's any comedy in that, but my assumption is romance films don't really exist. They're all rom-coms, just the definition of comedy becomes bigger or smaller. And generally speaking, you want it to be like romantic comedy. If the comedy outweighs the romance, it's like you've aimed for a comedy, and someone at the last minute has said, we need to get women in to see this as well, and it's like, yeah. Pretty Woman's a good example of that. That's a rom-com, also a great film. I'm not ashamed to admit that. Richard Gere, To Die For. That bit where he walks in and his friend is trying to rape his prostitute friend, whose name escapes me, and he rightfully reprimands him. Doesn't go any further than that. It's an odd scene in a rom-com when one of the characters does get... well, he immediately turns into a rapist. It was very much of the time, which I believe was the 90s. That was weird. I've gone down a weird road, and now I don't know how to get out of it. I need to pivot. I have a general love in films of just people being rich. It's just enjoyable to watch, isn't it? Like imagining the lives they live. There's a point where they get on a first class plane. I've never gone first class. I've seen first class in some things where it's like, oh yeah, you get a bigger seat. There's 2 of you on an aisle instead of 3. It's quite nice. In this one, their first class plane it's like Air Asia or something. They've got a suite to themselves, which, okay, it's not massive, but it is essentially well, I've had smaller bedrooms. Let's put it that way. It was a treat. Okay, where is this corner piece I need? It's driving me slightly insane. Ah, you bastard. Where are you? The one bit of the film that didn't make sense was when Ken Jeong appears and he was doing what I would refer to as the Ken Jeong bit, which started in The Hangover, and then he was in a few films afterwards where he would essentially play the same slightly insane character. Though he was in Community, in which he was insane, but he had much greater range in that, I feel. That's just the difference between a TV series and a film, isn't it? Alright, I'm going to put all these bits on without finding the last, because I've grown weary, and the idea of adding pieces sort of rejuvenates me a bit. I came to a great decision. Is vaping cool, right? Vaping, it's not, is it? It's got, on the internet, I feel people who vape are derided, and quite rightly so, and I've figured out why it is, right? Now, we've got to start at the beginning. Is smoking cool? Yes, it is, honestly. It's not big or clever. Unfortunately, for some reason, smoking looks cool. I think what it is twofold. The act of blowing out smoke is very cool. Just looks suave, it looks like you're in control. The act of having something on fire in front of you, lighting a cigarette, that's cool. There's fire involved. It takes a little bit of skill. 2 hands, And then the bit where you drag it, there's fire, it lights up. There's a certain amount of euphoria in one's face. Just looks cool, doesn't it? You can't fight it. It isn't, but it looks it. That's the factor, right? You see a character in a film that smokes, it adds gravitas, it's cool. Alright, bits just come off there. I'm aware of the irony of me discussing this whilst building Lego. It's not lost on me. Now on the other side of it, right, you've got vaping. The act of taking an e-cigarette and sucking on it, I feel it's not really dragging on it, is inherently uncool. That will never look good. There's no way of making that look good. The device itself, like the smaller the device looks, the more it looks like you're on a kid's toy. The bigger the device looks, the more it looks even worse somehow. There's no winning. There is no cool looking e-cigarette / vape, is there? I think we can all agree on that. And then and yet the bit of blowing out smoke is enormously cool. It smells nice, that helps as well. That's a big factor. It's anyone who says they're annoyed by people vaping, you're wrong, because the alternative is them smoking, which is horrendous. The smell of vape is always pleasant. The only situation in which that is not pleasant is, I don't know, if you're in a bakery and it's overpowering the smell of bread being baked, but that's a rare case. It's a fringe example at best. So what you get there is you get half of it is cool and half isn't, and it's just, that's where the fight comes in. That's the debate as to whether or not it is. If you just see someone blowing out a massive amount of smoke, you think, awesome. If you see someone sucking on a vape, you think, what is wrong with you? Although on the other hand, I do applaud people who are trying to quit smoking. You made one terrible error and you're trying to adjust that, and good for you. And yet, the dichotomy persists. That's my opinion on is vaping cool. No is the answer. Probably doesn't help that anyone who is going to be doing it on screen just won't be cool. We don't get as many cool screen actors as we used to. Right, where, what, how? This is just a mess. I need to clean this up. Okay, let's start. Put all these corner bits here, pipe work can go over there, flat bits around here. I don't think it's scaring me anyway. I need the bits. I'm sure I picked up one of these bits earlier. It's over here maybe. In this? No. It's going to be here, isn't it? They're always here. There's one bit. Found that. Oh, I'm done. I did have them all. Okay, thank Christ. Oh my God. The amount of detail on this is obscene. Like, just everything is just tiny little bits. One of you. This. Is it this? It's very odd looking. And two of you. I'm going down a very dangerous road right now. I'm trying to take I have a number of PCs, and I've got a number of smart TVs now, all hooked up to one network. And currently I've kept all these things very separate, but I'm now at the point where I like watching some stuff that's on like hard drives on my smart TVs, and basically I need to open up a media sharing network, and I don't want to allow too much access because the smart TVs are in very public spaces. I don't want them accessing essentially my deepest, darkest secrets. So I'm on the precipice of finally learning about Windows' own networking tools, and I'm thinking they might just be crap. There's a chance. Oh Christ, this is so complicated, this bit. Two more of them. And one more of those. One of you. Two of you. I've said two of you, but I've only picked one up. That's leading to heartache. Okay, good. Little car ones, I like those. They're very pleasing. Let's give it to them. What I am hoping is, after having played Spider-Man, I'm like, great, give me more superheroes, because I love superheroes. I like comic books. I like anything superhero, genuinely. Like, very rarely is there a superhero film that I won't watch, and two that I won't like. That's a very rare thing. It's my favourite. I'll watch cartoons. I'll read comics. I'll do the whole 9 yards. They don't make many games with superheroes. There's a lot of games where you have powers, but you're not really super powered in that sort of a way. You're not often saving people. Spider-Man is a rare example. There's been others. There was Batman. The only trouble is, I don't particularly like Batman. And mainly, because he doesn't got any superpowers, right? For me, call me old-fashioned, I like my superheroes to have superpowers. I like Superman. People say he's a boring character. I don't care about that. I like seeing people lift big things. It's enjoyable. Saving the day with ease, that's great. That bit in Superman Returns where he gets shot with like the Gatling gun, and it's just the bullets are just bouncing off him. One hits him in the eye and nothing happens. It's great. Love that as much as possible. But there's just not that many games of it. There was a time that... See, we used to get film tie-in games, which they were never good, let's be honest. Few except Spider-Man 2. If you go back and play Spider-Man 2, the web slinging's good. The rest of the game isn't. On a whole, it's not a good game now. It's just it had good web swinging, and that was enough. And at the time, it was the first Spider-Man where we could even walk on the ground. I think before that it was like, yeah, you can swing between the buildings. Yeah, but there's no ground below us. It's just a weird fog. Yeah. I'm aware you can see none of this, but there's really little to see. It's just adding tremendous amounts of decoration. Yeah, so there's the Batman games, but I'm not a big fan of Batman, which is the trouble there. And like even deeper aspects of Batman, I'm not a big fan of him as a character, or like, you know, the lore associated around him. It's not to say I like The Dark Knight. It was a good film. I liked all of Batman and Batman v Superman, weirdly. I'm hopeful this opens the gates to Marvel or Disney or whatever finally saying, yeah, I'm just waiting for Disney to say, bugger it, let's do it, let's just make some games, give me an Iron Man game, a good one. I don't think it'd even be that hard to do. I'd happily take this Spider-Man game, just chuck in Iron Man. I think Avengers Tower's in there. That's got to be a subtle sign as something's coming. I don't know how the rights work for that, because they obviously Disney own a lot. Did they finally own the film? I've assumed they've always had the game rights. I don't think they were ever in dispute. It's just no one could be bothered. I would even take a half-assed X-Men game. I played X-Men Destiny. It's not. Was it? I think it was called that. It wasn't a great game. It was okay. It was an X-Men game. Deadpool, not a great game, but fine. Give me more. See, a lot of those though, they're comic book games. They weren't superhero games, really. I would say X-Men Legends kind of was a superhero game. Incredible Hulk: Ultimate Destruction, one of the best games ever, really. Just a great game. Love to see a sequel to that, which I think there kind of was in like prototype, but I didn't play it. Who gives a shit about that? Give me characters I care about a bit. The Hulk, he's cool. He has a history at least. I've added some bars and things. I want to use the word kit bashing. It's not the correct word, but it's a good word. No? There we go. That's the right size. Nice. I think the closest we get is kind of the Lego games. A lot of those. Well, weirdly, with the Lego games, it's when you play the open world bits I really like. The mission bits I'm not too grand upon. I think the trouble they've had is whenever it's a Lego game and it's not based on a film, they're not so great, in my opinion. When they're based on films, they're good. The missions. And then the open world stuff, when it's an open world, normally the bits based on films, the open world, not so good. When it's just a place, fine. So like missions in Lego Jurassic, just Lego Jurassic, great. Open world stuff, it's okay, it's nothing special. Whereas when you go and play like Lego Marvel, the missions, so-so, but the open world stuff, great. Or I think I am actually in a minority there. I don't think many people actually like the open world in Legos. I love it. I love the fact that sometimes it's really janky as well and doesn't work. Okay, I've got to add stuff to an uneven surface. That's nice and easy, isn't it? The key is they don't want you to see any of what was below. So without wishing to end this episode on a cliffhanger, I have had news that I'm about to experience quite a substantial power cut. In the event of which, actually, all that happens in here is all the lights will go out and it will become pitch black. So while I could keep recording, you just wouldn't be able to see anything. So I will have to be recording the episode early, which is a shame because I was really on a roll here, wasn't I? I've made almost, actually I've made all of this, haven't I? I've made quite a bit actually. This is a lot of stuff on here. I'll just finish off this page and then we'll go. So I like to end it on my own terms as opposed to the power randomly going out. all things considering, I should probably go and, I don't know, what do you do to prepare for a power cut? I'll still have water. Charge stuff, that's what you do. You charge your phones and stuff, don't you? Make sure the switch is running. Although, you can go and charge phones and shit in your car. That's not that hard. I'm now realising that a lot of the times when people lose power, they don't have cars, do they? That's a factor. Where does this even go? Oh, on the front. Okay, one there, and then a little button. There we go. Behold, it's now got frontage. I'll finish off this one page. That way I'll have a good idea of where I'm going next, won't I? That is disturbing, because it means I've clearly missed a section. Oh, I see. There's supposed to be a red bit on here that I never put on. Put that there. That at the end. What they did is, earlier on, they said to put 2 of these red bits on at the top, but then they ignored that one and just told you about that. These instructions are written for children, and I've failed to follow them. It's no one's fault but my own. Alright, that'll do for now. Actually, the next bit is starting something fresh anyway. So, it was episode 24. As we go into the winter portion of the series. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.